Where we have defined benefit pension plans, preserve them. That means being honest about what they cost. It means being that in a lot of cases, in order for them to survive, benefits are going to have to be variable. In Canada, in the Netherlands, and a lot of other places, what we think of as defined benefit pension plans actually have variable benefits, so that if the market doesn't perform, benefits go down too. That's worth paying attention to. I should have listed first on this and did not, which proves that I've become such a creature of Washington that I ignored it. Number one on this list is we should fix Social Security. And I'm a radical in that regard. It turns out that if you ask people about taxes, it turns out the vast majority of people in America think that taxes are the price of citizenship, and they're perfectly happy to pay them. They just want to make sure that everyone else does, but they are perfectly happy to pay them. The single tax which is most strongly supported is the one that supports Social Security. And so if you ask me as a political matter whether or not the Congress of the United States and the President of the United States could pay for Social Security just by raising taxes, the answer is clearly yes. Now, Washington is way too sophisticated to allow for the possibility that maybe we should just solve this problem by raising revenues rather than also cutting benefits. But my point is, it is not impossible to do. It's a lot easier than fixing healthcare. So, one is preserve Social Security. Second is preserving defined benefit plans. Third is improving defined contribution plans. After Brexit, I decided that one of the real issues for these plans is, in fact, that people leave them. And so I'm anti-Brexit, which is when somebody retires, they should leave their plan in the existing system. Secondly, there ought to be universal auto enrollment and auto escalation. Third, there ought to be a way, and it ought to be the default, for plans to be partially annuitized. One company, United Technologies, has done this. Nobody else has followed. And lastly, there ought to be real portability, which means we actually need to develop a regime that works. Jenny's giving me the 5-minute warning, so I will speed up. Coverage for the uncovered. There is no reason why in the US we can't have a more universal retirement savings system like the ones that have already been legislated in Australia, New Zealand, and lots of other places. Next point, increasing retirement savings. I've already mentioned automatic enrollment, automatic escalation. This next one is one that I'm going to disagree with Bjorn on, and it is a controversial point. So this is my view. It is not consensus wisdom. But in a world in which people can opt out of a retirement system, one reason they may choose to do so is because they're worried that they'll have a medical emergency or an auto accident or something like that and not being able to take anything out. And so I think that what there needs to be is some limited access on an emergency basis to real funds. This will require a rethinking not only of the retirement system, but also of the banking system. And my last point, about which I'm going to say nothing except it's really important, is that if we don't solve the issue of long-term care insurance, we're going to impoverish millions of people that wouldn't need to be impoverished. My basic view of this is that government is tied to the notion of thinking about this as employee benefits, and that's a mistake. We should stop thinking about employee benefits as employee benefits and start thinking about them as something that people have through their lives, through whatever activities, whether it's working or not working, et cetera. But this will require Washington to take off its blinders and recognize the real elephant in the room. Let me give you an example to give you an idea of how alien this seems. How many of you come here from outside a 10-block radius? Okay. And when you travel to a meeting like this, your employer pays for it, right? If you flew here, if you flew to a meeting, you'd call up an airline, you'd make an appointment, and you would get on the plane. If the plane was late, would you sue your employer? If the plane crashed, would you sue your employer? But the mind frame that we have in employee benefits is that if the plan is underfunded, if the plan is mismanaged, et cetera, we sue the employer. That's crazy. It's understandable, but it is crazy. And unfortunately, 2 generations of retirement experts have thought that the elephant they're touching is the employer. It's not. The elephant that they should be touching is products and services in the financial services industry. And therefore, I think what Washington needs to do is 2 things, which is they need to get out of the way and let product innovation exist. They need to encourage or require broader savings and access. And they need to also step in and provide consumer protection. Because under the current structure of ERISA, where does consumer protection come in? The answer is it is provided by trial lawyers. If I am an employer and I do something that is questionable, in theory, the Department of Labor could sanction me, but in fact, they don't. So what we need is, we actually need consumer protection for people who don't have it. And some of this, so you need personal accounts, you need frictionless access, which technology enables. You need partial annuitization, and you need consumer protection. By the way, this isn't happening in Washington right now, but it is happening in the states. 5 states got tired of waiting for, actually, 2 friends of mine, one at the Heritage Foundation and one at Brookings, said, let's step aside from the ERISA architecture and let's just require automatic enrollment through a payroll system of savings. This automatic IRA. In 2008, it was endorsed by both candidates, Barack Obama and John McCain. And then, unfortunately, Barack Obama, not unfortunately for the country, but unfortunately for this idea, did the Affordable Care Act. And as a result, the entire Republican Party decided that a mandate was a bad idea, even a mandate that was cheap and easy. What happened after that is a bunch of states said, we're going to do it instead. And so thus far, right now, 5 states, California, Illinois, Oregon, Connecticut, and Maryland, and I chair the Maryland effort, are setting up automatic IRAs. In other words, businesses above a certain size or with a certain capability have to automatically enroll their employees. Who worries about consumer protection there? The answer is it's going to be these state boards. They're going to worry about fees. They're going to worry about the right allocation of profits. They're going to worry about what the default ought to be. So the reason why I am hopeful after this depressing story is that because outside Washington it is happening. And therefore I think there is a chance that some future president and some future Congress could decide to do more than just put out a budget or avoid closing down the government. They might help improve people's lives in other ways. They might empower the SEC or the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, et cetera, to enable people to save more safely so they can have a better return and a better future. And so in the end, I'm a cynic, but also an optimist.